Welcome to this week's edition of NFL News Flash. Now, here's your host, Noah Ricks.
Hello, everybody. I am Noah Ricks, and welcome to the first installment of NFL News Flash, where I give you the NFL news from the entire week, and I react to it. It will be fun for me. Hopefully, it will be fun for you. If you do end up liking this video, hit the subscribe button below so you can watch more episodes every Saturday. So off we go. So we all heard that Arian Foster signed a one-year deal with the Dolphins on Monday. We'll see how that goes. Arian Foster has to prove himself that he's a great running back for the Dolphins. He is replacing Lamar Miller as the star back. No, let's just see how he does in Miami. Alright, on to other news. During the preseason, the NFL balls will have a chip as a test to make extra points and field goals more difficult. Now me, I am still getting adjusted to the PAT rule that they made last year from the 15-yard line. But at least the NFL is trying to do something to make the game more interesting. Up next, Von Miller signed a 6-year, $114.5 million deal with the Broncos on July 15th. That makes him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, and that is the highest amount of guaranteed salary. That is a ton of money, but not a ton of money. But just enough money if you're Von Miller, Super Bowl 50 champion with the Denver Broncos, was responsible for the Broncos' 24-10 win, played a big part, especially with that Cam Newton fumble. That was a very big deal. Hopefully, it will work out for John Elway and the Broncos. Muhammad Wilkerson signed a 5-year, $86 million deal with the Jets. That is a pretty good deal, considering he had 12 sacks in 2015, and he had 36 and a half sacks in his 5-year career. So that is a pretty great deal. Now, honestly, I think these suspensions, the NFL players are hurting themselves. We have 7 suspended NFL players. Niners linebacker Aaron Lynch, Bills Carlos Williams, Johnny Manziel, which is not even a big surprise, but he is suspended for the first 4 games for substance abuse. The Jets defensive lineman Sheldon Richardson, he is suspended for opening day. Le'Veon Bell was suspended today for missing drug tests. Arthur Jones is suspended for 4 games for a PED violation. And of course, we all know Tom Brady into the Deflategate. So, the NFL players, like I said, are hurting themselves. They need to realize that drugs are not the answer. And missing drug tests and that, you gotta make it to those drug tests. I just gotta say that. But enough of the suspensions. On to other news. Justin Tucker signed a 4-year, $16.8 million contract with the Ravens. Personally, I am glad he's staying. He is a major role to the Ravens team, who went 5-11 last year. And most of the wins last year, he kicked game-winning field goals. Now, there was talk earlier in the week that he might be switching teams, but thankfully for the Ravens, that didn't happen. And now, there's no long-term deals for Eric Berry or Kirk Cousins. That is kind of a shame, but I can see why that didn't happen. They need to prove themselves that they are NFL material before they can get any big contracts. The Rams and UC Irvine agreed to a 3-year deal for a training camp that will be hosted at UC Irvine. So now they will have a place to practice for the next 3 years. That's pretty good for the Rams. And this is the last thing the Cleveland Browns needed. Desmond Bryant is most likely to miss the year with a torn pectoral muscle. Winning 3 games last year, the Browns might suffer a big blow if he does miss the whole year. But the Cleveland Cavaliers ended the drought, which is pretty good, pretty great. So it might not be that big of a deal. But if you're a diehard Browns fan, that is a big deal. Now, Andrew Luck signs a 6-year, $140 million contract with the Colts, making him the highest paid player in the NFL. That's making him the franchise quarterback in Indy, but he was out for most of the season last year. Maybe he can redeem himself and win NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Charles Tillman retires after 13 years in the league. Sad that he's going. We've seen a lot of retirements this year, from Peyton to Jared Allen. But he signed a one-day contract with the Bears that'll make him go off as a Bear. So that means he is showing his love to the Bears, which he played for 12 seasons. And in his career, he recorded 38 interceptions and 8 touchdowns. He played last year with the Panthers. Good luck, Charles Tillman. You will be missed. I mean, as an NFL player. In other news, Ricky Williams, back in 2004, planned on joining the Raiders and changing his name. This was the most bizarre NFL story I have ever heard of. Earlier in the week, I thought he was actually joining the Raiders, but it turns out this happened back 12 years ago. So, this is showing us a little bit of history. And now the Lions signed pass rusher Quantera Smith. He did not play a lot when he was with the Denver Broncos. He only had 11 tackles in Denver. Maybe the Lions can put him as a starter, and maybe he can excel. Now on to bigger news. Another NFL retirement. Ravens offensive tackle Eugene Monroe announces his retirement yesterday. Man, we are just seeing a lot of retirements this year. I don't know what, but this is like the year of their retirement. Enough of that. Now the Steelers released tight end Matt Spaeth for a failed physical. Just gotta say, if you cannot make physicals, then you are getting cut and you are facing the consequences. Hopefully Matt Spaeth can learn from that next time he is on an NFL team. In other news, Ray Rice will do anything he can to get back in the NFL due to that domestic violence. He is planning on giving his salary to domestic violence programs, so he is trying to redeem himself at the last resort so he can get back in the league. That is pretty tough. He has some guts. Now Greg Hardy works out with the Jaguars Wednesday and Thursday, but they're not expected to sign him. Getting cut by the Cowboys this offseason, Greg Hardy has controversy for that domestic abuse. Was suspended for the first 4 games last year. Like I said, the Jaguars will not be expected to sign him. J.J. Watt is undergoing back surgery. He should be ready for week 1. It is best for him to get his body healthy, ready for the season. And now, this is pretty sad news. Last night, Dennis Green died at 67 years old due to cardiac arrest. That is pretty devastating. Dennis Green, one of the most legendary head coaches of the 90s, led the Vikings to a 15-1 record in 1998, took them to the NFC Championship game. Arguably, one of the best teams in NFL history to not make a Super Bowl. And we all know his speech back in 2006 with the Cardinals. We are who we thought they were. But pretty sad that Dennis Green is gone. Rest in peace, Dennis. And can you believe this? The Vikings Stadium is not even open. The new Vikings Stadium, US Bank Stadium, it is open to the public. But it has already been vandalized. People threw rocks at it, and the glass broke inside US Bank Stadium. There is a lot of glass in that stadium, and the damaged glass will take around 6 to 8 weeks to repair. And the idea to put rocks next to the windows, not a pretty smart idea, Vikings. Better think about that next time. So, that will wrap it up here for NFL News Flash. We hope you enjoyed this first installment. Like I said, if you did like this video, subscribe in the description below so you can watch next week's edition and so on. From NFL News Flash, this is Noah Ricks saying so long and good night.